Hi everyone. Thank you for joining me live today. I'm Kara and this is Glazing with Amaco. I really appreciate you coming in today. I have something new to share with you all. Amaco's newest special effect glaze line is the Crawls. And as you can see, we have a new label style. So the crawls, in the clay world, crawling is a word that describes what can happen in firing when a glaze pulls away from the clay and leaves bare clay and clumpy glaze. And it's often used to describe a flaw, something we don't want to have happen. However, if you do it intentionally, it can be really a fantastic glaze effect. And that's what we've done with the crawls. So the crawls are an intentional glaze crawl that bead up in interesting ways. So I'm going to show you close up a few of our new crawls. I'm so glad to see everybody today. Hi Carol, hi Bill, hi Ingrid, hi Marie. I'm really glad that you're here. And if you have questions, just drop them in the chat and I will answer them as we go along. And I do have a couple of questions that had come up before we started filming. So let's start with a close-up. And this is our black crawl. So this is CR1 black, and you can see how it has left the clay body exposed and made these beads of glaze that rise up off the surface. And the thicker that you apply the crawl glaze, the bigger the beads will get. So I wanted to show you this to start off. CR1 black. Let me show you some of the other colors real quick. Here is CR41 lime. Oh, Marie says, of course, what cone? I'm sorry, these are cone 5 to cone 6 glazes. This is the CR54 purple. And one of the things that is different about these crawl glazes from other crawl glazes is these not only make this wonderful crawl texture just over bare clay, they also make this crawl texture over velvet underglazes. They work beautifully with the velvet underglazes at cone 5. This is CR58 red. And we have CR20 dark blue. Now, before I continue on, I'm going to show you a few other things about the crawls. This is the CR1 black over the bright red velvet underglaze, and this is fired to cone 5. And you can see how it makes a really dramatic effect on here. Look at that, isn't that fun? So, love how this looks. And it also works really, really nicely over a celadon. So this is the CR58 red over obsidian celadon. Look at that crackle pattern. And it's a smooth surface. But we also have these speckled crawls. It's hard to see the speckles in this one, but you will see them in some other samples. This is CR22 speckled teal. You see those little black dots? It's like pepper in there. We have CR12 speckled white. Again, white crawl with the speckles in it. CR61 speckled yellow, and CR51 speckled pink. Stasia asks, what happens at cone 6? By themselves, it is not going to make much difference at cone 6. It will be about the same. Over the velvets, again, about the same. Over celadons, it will be about the same, although some celadons start to lose some of their color at cone 6, like cherry blossom. This is the Snapdragon celadon with the speckled pink over the celadon. Janet says, oh, I like it best over celadon. It's really fun, isn't it? And better yet, over celadon, they're food safe. So you can use these for plates, for bowls, for mugs, anything you like, or you can use them for decorative surfaces. They are really, really fun and food safe. Nice smooth surface. I do want to show you how they look when you have thinner or thicker coats. So this is the dark blue over bare clay. This is 2 coats of the dark blue. You see how we get kind of an even small bead. 3 coats of dark blue. Larger beads spaced out. Cheryl is asking if they are in stock at the Brickyard. Not yet. This is 4 coats, and you can see it's really getting thick and blobby and more space between the beads. So you can get different effects when you do that, and I want to show you some really wild things that we have been doing these. So Cheryl, these are available for pre-order for distributors, but they're not in stores quite yet. So talk to your local distributor. So let me see if I can, I think I'm going to have to do a selfie for this. So Kenny, who works with me in the studio and is a phenomenal ceramic artist, made these lava lamp ornaments. So these are flat ornaments, and this is the obsidian celadon, top and bottom, but in the middle is velvet underglaze, and in this case it is CR51 speckled pink over red underglaze. I have a couple more, and he also does different layers. So this is the dark blue over the chartreuse underglaze, and you can see how he's using the thicker and thinner coats to make larger and smaller beads of the crawls. Isn't that wild? Cheryl says, you are my local distributor. Well, Brickyard is your local distributor. So yes, they will be going out to distributors soon. Brickyard is a distributor. They are connected to Amaco, but they are a distributor, not directly Amaco. So they, I'm sure, already have the crawls on order, and they will be going out as soon as they are ready and be available in the store. But you can call Brickyard directly or your local distributor and ask when they expect to have them in stock. So Maria asks, going back to the black crawl over the bright yet red underglaze, it looks like they're horizontal. Can you control the crawl, for instance, if you wanted it drippy? Yes, I'm going to show you some other things you might be able to, I think that in this case the reason it comes out, the crawl looks vertical. Let me put it in the close-up so you can see it more easily. I think that the reason that the crawl looks vertical in this is it was applied vertically. So the brush strokes, I have noticed when using the crawls that it will follow the line of the brush strokes. So if I apply it vertically, or I'm sorry, horizontally, the crawls will look horizontal. If you apply it vertically, it will look more vertical. So for example, in the case of these, they were applied flat. Let me see if I have one that has a better representation of this. So how, Marie says, I love that lava lamp. Oh my gosh, they are amazing, aren't they? These are so, so cute. So how Kenny did this is he applied one even coat over the entire surface, and then he took a syringe applicator and did a zigzag kind of S-shaped design thickly over the top of that, so you can see where the thinner areas, and then where he applied it with an applicator, the thicker areas, it beaded up higher. We got a response from my manager. We just opened pre-orders this past week for distributors, so we will leave those open for a couple weeks, and they are in production now. So Ingrid asks, how do they respond to a hold at cone 5? And we haven't tried them with a hold at cone 5, but I don't know that it would make much difference. We have fired them to 6, and like over velvets, over celadons, they react almost exactly the same way. I haven't noticed a big difference at cone 6. If you do a hold at cone 6, you might start to see something different happening, but at this point, I have not seen that. So Marie asks, is there any indication that the beads might fall off? They could, but we haven't had a problem with them falling off once they're fired. They have been on there pretty well. I'm going to show you one more of the lava lamps. I love this one. The colors are so fun. This is the speckled teal over the deep yellow, I believe, with a little bit of orange worked in at the top and bottom. But this is the speckled teal crawl over deep yellow. So Kelly Smith asks where the inspo comes from. I'm not sure if you're asking where the inspiration for crawl glazes or the inspiration for the lava lamps. So we at Amaco, we did have crawl glazes years ago, the Arroyo glazes, and we didn't have the wide variety of colors, and they were really meant for low fire. So what I'm going to show you here is some more ways. Oh, I'm going to switch actually. I'm going to show you some more ways that we have used these. So this is another piece that Kenny made. This is on the chocolate, dark chocolate clay. We've had great success using the crawls on the chocolate clays. Marie asks how many colors of the crawls. So I'm going to get into that because actually I have not shown you all of the colors yet. So this is the lime over, I believe this is deep sea. No, it's succulent. But what Kenny did is he applied tape in these areas, applied the celadon, took the tape off, and then applied the crawl over. So you have smooth areas with the crackles, and then the beaded areas in between. So you have smooth, beaded, smooth, beaded, smooth. It's really fun. Marie asks if I can show the piece that is over my shoulder. And yes, I can. So this was done with a combination of the sprays under glazes, doing a gradient spray, and then using the speckled teal crawl over it. Isn't that fun? I love this. So this is the piece that you've seen, the thumbnail on the event. Isn't this fantastic? So using a combination of velvet sprays and crawls made this really, really fun vase. It is clear glazed on the inside, so it is perfectly fine to use for functional wear. I'll put that back over here. And yeah, isn't that just amazing? So much fun. So I have been having a great time trying out different things, and I wanted to show you some more. This is actually the red crawl over iron luster. So I know a lot of you use iron luster. It is a great layering glaze. So this is iron luster inside and out, 3 coats, and then 2 uneven coats of the crawl on top, red, so it was thicker at the top, so you get this really, really dramatic red at the top edge. Cheryl says, I used the low fire ones like 30 years ago. Yeah, we had them for quite some time. They were discontinued about 10 years ago. And we did try out some ways that they could be used with high fire, but they didn't catch on. I think that not having the bright colors was a big part of it, but these are specifically meant to not only be used by themselves, but also be used with other glazes. This is PC68 Golden Honey with the black crawl, one thick coat over it. Really dramatic, almost like an alligator skin or lizard skin kind of look, like leathery, but not quite, not as textured. And yes, a reminder, the crawls are food safe when applied over Amaco celadons. We have not done any other food safety testing with the PCs or other glazes. Keep that in mind. This is over the PCF, the new yellow PCF. And this is the purple crawl over PCF. Really, really fun. Another, I know you guys are like, you've got more. I have more. I'm sorry, Marie. This little cup is 3 of the crawls layered one on top of the other. I started with a layer of lime. Then I put the speckled yellow. After the lime was dry, I put the speckled yellow over it, and then ended with a coat of the dark blue. And you can see in this close-up, it gives this almost like agate or fordite kind of look. Fordite being where layers of car paint are carved through. Or I like to think of it as looking more like agate, but really wild, wild colors. So, lots of fun. You guys are thinking, there can't be more. What more could there possibly be? But wait, there is. So, in addition to these 9 colors that I have shown you, we also have 2 colors that are specifically meant for layering, and they are, I'm going to show you a close-up. These are the Flux Crawls. This is, at the top, this is CR17 Flux Crawl, and at the bottom is CR18 Speckled Flux Crawl. So these both are similar to the Flux Glazes, but they are specifically meant to be layered. And let me pull out some things to show you all. Oh, let me go back to the close-up because you'll see this so much better. This is the Speckled Flux Crawl over the Celadon Mulberry. And you can see how you get, it's not as crisp of a crackle sort of effect as you get with the rainbow crawls. It's a softer, runnier sort of crawl, but you can see the lines and you can see those speckles. This is on our chocolate clay. This is our CR17 Flux Crawl. You can see how it pulls the glaze, but it's still a glazed surface. And this is on the dark chocolate, so that does affect the color. But this is PC33 Iron Lustre with the Flux Crawl over it, and just a really soft looking effect. Going back to the Speckled Crawl, this is Weeping Plum Celadon with the Flux Crawl over it. Again, that kind of peppery. Kelly asks, so it's food safe but not dinnerware safe. These are, I would consider that over the Celadons that they would be dinnerware safe, in the sense that they are smooth and durable, and I would not be concerned about food getting stuck in them, making it difficult to clean. They're not going to leach, and as far as like dishwasher or microwave, that is up to you to test, because it's going to depend on clay body as well. So Marie is asking, Amaco is really starting a new and exciting glaze combos and application. Can't wait to get them to my supplier in New Jersey. So another thing with the Flux Crawls is how this is the Flux Crawl over obsidian, and that's all it is, Flux Crawl over obsidian, and it gives almost an effect like the frozen pond glazing technique. You can see, and that's just 2 glazes, and you can see how it cracks and pools and gives this beautiful blue, soft blue effect. Really, really fun. A couple of things that I wanted to discuss before I leave you guys, because there's a couple of tips. One is to keep in mind that the glazes are going to show some cracking before firing. So be careful when you're handling them. This is 3 coats of dark blue crawl over a Celadon glaze. I think that this is Glacier that I put this over. It has not been fired yet. Okay, so you see how there are cracks, and I'm handling this by the inside where it's just the Celadon. It can be tricky to handle, so be careful when you're handling them. And the thicker coats are going to show more cracks. Another thing I wanted to show you was just kind of an accident, actually. So when I was making label tiles, and I was making an extra label tile, I accidentally made too many of the CR1 black. So I had an extra tile with nothing much that I needed to do with it. So instead of just tossing it out, I decided to try some different things. So it had already been fired to cone 5. So it had already beaded up just the way that you would expect it to bead. And after it was fired, I decided to try out some things. So I have, let me do my close-up again. This is snow over the black crawl. This is the black crawl by itself, and it was refired, so it did not melt more. It just stayed pretty much where it was. This is the orange satin matte glaze over the crawl. And then this last one is PCF 33 Mystic Tide over the crawl. And you can see how it did this wonderful pooling effect. That was really fun. And it's slightly textured, but it's also smooth. Now again, I do not know. We don't test these combinations of glazes over the crawl, so I don't know if they're food safe, but I had so much fun, and I could really see these being used for a lot of different sculptural kind of effects. Really, really interesting. So let's see. Stasia was asking how many coats on this bowl, and it is not marked, so I believe it is 3 coats of obsidian, and from the look of it, I believe it is 2 coats of the Flux Crawl. It might be 3, but I think it's 2 because of the size of the crawl. If it was 3, I would expect it to be bigger. Now, some of my earlier questions that I saw before we started filming, one was asking about using a celadon over the crawl. However, I think that would probably be difficult to achieve because the crawl glaze cracks before firing, and in that case, with the cracking going on, it would probably make the celadon crawl as well. Now you could do it like I did, where I fired the crawl on and then put a celadon on top of it. But really the way that we meant for these to be used is to put a celadon on first and then apply the crawl on top. There are some suggestions on how to set the flaking glaze so it doesn't come off. And one of the tricks that we have found works really well is to use, before you put the crawl glaze on, to apply a coat of gum solution, which acts like a glue to hold the glaze in place. So you could always try that. The hairspray working to set and hold flaking glazes before firing might work, but if the glaze is really, really loose, it could actually blow it right off. So, not sure about that. In any case, I really, if you have any more questions, please drop them in the chat. I will answer after the video ends if you have other questions. But I really, really appreciate all of y'all coming out and viewing the live stream today and learning about the crawl glazes. We've had so much fun with these. We continue to have so much fun with these. And if you use them, try them out, really want to show them off, use hashtag #HowIAmaco or hashtag Amaco Crawls on your social media posts, and we will see them and maybe share them. I really appreciate you all joining me on my glaze adventures. This has been so much fun, and I will see you again in 2 weeks. Happy glazing!